StraightallDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is to go get an energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to get more life out of your life. Before we get into this, let me remind everybody or inform you if you didn't know. I send out a text message every single day that's guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. I call it the daily motivation. This text will do exactly what I said it's going to do. All you got to do to receive it so I can prove it to you is text me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every morning when that daily motivation text goes out, because you're a member of my texting community, you shall receive this message free of charge straight to your phone every single day. Other thing I got to tell you before we get started is I have a university. It's called Work on Your Game University. Some people ask me, Dre, do you do anything other than record this podcast and send out a daily motivation text? The answer is yes. I do several other things, but the main thing you need to know about is the fact that I have Work on Your Game University, because that's where my coaching programs are. That's where all my best trainings, frameworks, and courses are. And if you would like to be coached by me directly, you want to ask me a question and get an answer, guaranteed. You want to bring your challenges to me and have me help you with them, guaranteed. You need to be a member of Work on Your Game University. Everybody else, you might get a response from me. Sometimes you reach out, but you're not guaranteed to get a response if you're not a member of the university. So you want to be able to engage with me on a regular basis. You need to be a member of Work on Your Game University. That is where my attention is. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. And there you can become a member of the university. You will have direct access to me. That is the only way to get direct access to me besides actually knowing me in person. And that's that. So with all that said, let's get into today's topic, which is how to get more life out of your life. Now, here's the thing. Definition of life is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. It's a great definition. Should I read that again? I want to read that again. I like that definition so much I want to read it twice. Let me say it again. Life is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. That is what constitutes life. If you are a regular listener to this show, you know that I like to give definitions of words often. I just gave you that one twice. This one I like a lot simply because this is a word that I doubt any of us knew the definition of, including myself, before I read that. I looked it up when I was planning out this episode. So now that you heard that definition twice, today we're going to talk about how can you get more life out of this condition that, again, makes you different from inorganic matter, and is all about how do you reproduce and grow and expand before your time is up and you die. I mean, the flip side of life is death. So let's talk about how can you get more out of it, and let's not use up any more of our life, which is our time, going over to the intro. Let's get right into the points. Number one way to get more life out of your life. Here it is. Change your default settings. And I'm going to tell you what your default settings are. I'm going to tell you why you don't want to keep them this way and why you need to change them. And I'm going to tell you what to change them to right now. Most of you, your default settings, you had two important default settings that I want to point out. Now, you have several of them, but these are two that I want to point out specifically. They are slow and later. Let me say that again. Your two main default settings are slow and later. And what you want to change these to are fast and now. So I might not even have to explain that any further, but I will. Your default setting for many of you is to do things slowly. So you may remember the episode where I talked about how some of you talk about, I want to do things at my own pace. It's bullshit. You don't want to do things at your own pace. Your own pace is too damn slow. Episode 2546, I talked about that. Your own pace is too slow. If you just did everything in life at your own pace, you wouldn't even be where you are right now. At some point in your life, especially those of you who are high achievers, you got to the level that you're at because you get pushed. Someone pushed you to do things at a pace that you were uncomfortable with, but you adjusted to that discomfort and you were able to achieve things at a higher level. Any of you who is, you work at a company that sets unreasonable deadlines on you, and you hit those deadlines, you got pushed. Any of you who's ever played a sport and you had a coach who had unreasonable demands for you and you met those unreasonable demands, you got pushed. And those things pushed you to perform at a level that you otherwise would not have performed on your own volition and left to your own devices. You need this. If your default setting is slow, and most of you, your default setting is slow, you need to do something different. You need to change it to fast. Now, you can start by being conscious about this and do this with yourself on a personal level. And when you want to take this to a higher level, and everybody should take this to a higher level, what you do next is you get with someone who is going to continually push you to do things other than what you are used to doing. And the other default setting that I pointed out here is changing it from later to now. This one is setting a rule with yourself. Anything you know you're going to do, just do it now. You know you're going to do it, just do it now. And this can start with very small things, and then it can expand into bigger things. I'll give you an example of something that just happened this morning, as a matter of fact. I got these little, you can't see them even if you're watching on video because I can't show it to you, but I got these little nubs that I put on the side of my desk here in my office that basically hold the wires. Any of you in an office space, or some of you do this with if you got a flat screen TV and it's connected to the cable box, and you got a stereo and you got all these wires all over the place. There are these apparatuses, I guess we'll say, little tools that you can stick somewhere, and it basically grabs all the wires and it holds them together in one spot, so you don't have wires all going all over the place looking all sloppy. So I have these things. They're not necessarily to grab all the wires together, but to keep the wires from falling down the floor when I unplug them. So I have a cord here that plugs into my laptop. I got a cord from my iPad. I got two cords that I use to plug into my phones, and I use it for my AirPods as well. I got another cord that plugs into my laser printer where I print shipping labels at. So with all these different cords, there's these little nubs that I can stick to the side of the desk that you can't even see from here, and they hold the cord. So if I unplug the cord, the cord doesn't fall on the floor because it's like wide enough for the cord to pop in there, but it's not wide enough for the cord to fall through and fall on the floor. And the point is, I bought a set of these like a year ago, and they work perfectly, and I'm using all of them right now, and I need another one because one of them, for some reason, the stickiness just stopped working. I don't know why, and it kept falling off the edge of the table, and I tried to stick it back on there with some double-sided tape. That didn't work, so I need a new one. So this morning I went on Amazon and I looked at my order history, and I found this item. The item was like $6.24, and I put it in my cart because I know I'm going to buy this. And I was thinking my default setting was to just put it in the cart, wait till I get several other things, little tchotchkes I'm going to buy that are $8, $12, $18, and I'll just order them all together and get them all in one shipment. But I reminded myself of the exact thing I'm telling you here. Instead of having a default setting of doing it later, I know I'm going to order this, and it really doesn't make a difference because I'm not paying for shipping, so it doesn't matter if I get one shipment or 10. Do it now. So then I just went and actually placed the order, so they'll be here, and by the time you hear this, I already got it, and I'm already happily using my new $6.24 item. The whole point is, instead of telling yourself you'll do things later, do them now. How many times have you heard of something, read something, thought something, identified something that you needed or wanted to do, then told yourself you would get to it later? How many times have you done it? You've probably done it a few times today and don't even realize that you've done it because you're so used to doing it. How many things do you have in your mental list right now that you're planning on getting to later? The point here is to eliminate those things, eliminate the later list, and start doing things now. And now, when I say now, you know what that means? That means the exact moment that you think about doing it. Not later, not next week, not when the circumstances are perfect. Do them now. The moment you think of doing something and you know you're going to do it now. When the opportunity presents itself or occurs to you, that's when you do it. This habit alone can change a whole lot for you in a big way in a very short period of time. And I'm talking like the next 24 hours. Because what it does is, first of all, you start creating momentum, which is one side of the coin of inertia. And when you have momentum working in your favor, you don't even have to force things to happen. Things just happen on their own because you already have momentum working for you. You got the law of the universe working for you. I talked about creating and keeping momentum in episode 1324. So if you're not familiar with what I've had to say about momentum, make sure you look that up there. And also listen to episode 2466 where I explained the law of inertia and how it works. Momentum being one side of it, the other side of it being stagnation. So many of you are on the side of stagnation because you're doing things later and you're slow. If you want to have more energy in your life, and remember that energy is 85% of the job, energy is also one of the 5 forms of investment. Energy is also the capacity to do work, which you will need if you're going to get better and improve and make the most of your life. So you see how all these pieces connect? You want to do that, you need momentum. You got to move yourself and actually do something. You're sitting around thinking about what to do and telling yourself you're going to do it later. That does not create momentum. That actually perpetuates stagnation. Many of you are living in a perpetual state of stagnation because you're always telling yourself you'll do things later and you're getting to them slowly. And it's hard to rouse yourself into action because you're never in action. You're never in a state of action. So it's hard to move yourself to it because you're so used to being in a state of stagnation. So it's hard to generate momentum. Everybody following what I'm saying here? So any of you who wants to change the circumstance, and you want to change the way you are, your default setting in life, I just told you what to do. I only told you 2 settings to change. There's a bunch of settings that you got in there, but I'm just focusing on 2. Change it from slow to fast, later to now. Challenge for many of you is that this default setting is so deeply wired into your subconscious that you must struggle and strive to consciously change this. Now, you might be expecting me to give you some kind of shortcut or hack for this, but there is none. This is the work. The work that you have to do is to get conscious and intentional about not letting yourself do things slow, doing them fast, and instead of telling yourself you'll do things later, doing them now. If you can just do this, consciously keep yourself focused on this for, let's just say, the next 7 days, it'll change a lot of your lives right now. Focus on fast and now. Those are 2 words to keep in mind, fast and now. And when you change that default setting in your brain, and remember that controls 85% of your actions, the defaults, the habits, that will lead to wholesale changes in your life. You change 85% of your normal mode of operation. Do you think your life will change in some way? Exactly. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to get more life out of your life. Number 2, do an ROI assessment. ROI stands for return on investment. And you may be thinking, well, Dre, I don't have any investments. Well, on the contrary, you have 5 of them. Let me tell you what they are. Time, money, attention, energy, and focus. Do you have those? Okay, everybody has some amount of each one of those. Even if you have 0, that's an amount. All right, you got some. You need to do an assessment of your returns on every time you use one of those things. Every time you use time, what are you getting in exchange? Every time you spend money, what are you getting back? Every time you give your attention to something, what do you get? Every time you put your focus on something, what do you get? Every time you give energy to anything, what are you getting back? Those are your investments. You need to do an assessment of what kind of returns you're getting from each one of those. So look at who and what are actually producing the results that you want in your life as a result of the investments that you're making into those things or people. And as you look at this, based on your answers, you should divert resources from things that are resulting in you basically spinning your wheels and not getting much out of it towards doing more of the stuff that is producing a higher return on investment. Here's the great news about this point right here. The things that are producing the highest return on investment, those are almost always, by rule, much fewer in numbers than the things that are basically having you break even or are costing you more than they're costing you more than they are giving back. Usually the things that are producing the highest rate of return are fewer in number than the things that are producing a low rate of return. Right? Everybody understand what I'm saying here? If I could put that sentence into a simpler phrasing, in other words, is the 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto's principle. And let me make it even simpler than that. In short, as a general rule, 20% of your actions are producing 80% of your results. And 80% of your actions are producing only 20% of your results. So what I'm telling you to do here in point number 2, ROI analysis, is you need to figure out what is the 20% that is producing 80% of the results and do more of that stuff. And then the 80% that's producing 20% of the results, do less of that. All right, that's it. So it's not even going to cost you more time. You'll actually be able to get more done in less time when you do that. So here I work on your game. I consciously focus this year specifically on 80-20ing our focus when it came to sales and offerings and basically how we were doing business. This is how through the first half of 2023, our number of sales transactions, that means the number of times somebody hit the buy button and actually gave us money. Through the first half of this year, our sales transactions were down 79%. That means for every 5 sales we did at this point last year, we only did 1 this year. Down 79%. But revenue, the actual money that came in, was up 41%. And the average cart value, which is the amount of money somebody spent every time they hit the buy button, was up 660%. Why is that? How did this happen? It's not magic. It's math. All we did was 80-20 what we were doing in business. We put more emphasis on the things that produce most of the results and less emphasis on all the other stuff that was producing very little results, but was taking up a whole lot of resources. Everybody understand? Anybody can do this. And everybody, you listening to this, you need to do this. So I'm not just telling you you can do it. I'm telling you you need to do it. I'm actually telling you you're going to do it because I'm laying this all out for you here. Number 3, today's topic, once again, is how to get more life out of your life. You need to do a job review of your habits. If you read my book, Work on Your Game, which if you have not, you can get it by going to workonyourgamebook.com or going to thirddaybook.com or mirrormotivation.com, ordering those books for free. Just cover the shipping and just saying yes to every book in the funnel. You'll get 10 or 11 books as you go through the funnel, and Work on Your Game be one of them, and the mental game super duper bundle along with the mental workbook, Bulletproof Mindset, and 30 Days of Discipline. But in my book, Work on Your Game, I analogize habits to being your employment staff. So any of you who has never had employees, you never had anybody working for you, you never had payroll and you had to actually pay people on a regular basis, understand you still have employees. These are your habits because they represent you in the world, and you are paying for them with your life. You pay for your habits with your life. Your life is a reflection of your habits. So whatever your habits are doing, you are paying the price of your life with whatever your habits choose to do. So they're your staff. They work for you. And if you don't like the results of what your workers, your habits are doing for you, you need to fire them. You need to replace them with new staff, new employees. So your life right now, look at the way you're living. That's a reflection of your habits. So any parts of your life that you are really satisfied with is because you have some habits that are doing exactly what you want them to do. You should let them keep doing what they're doing. And any aspect of your life that is unsatisfactory for you is because you have habits that are not serving you and you haven't done anything about it. Therefore, they continue to not serve you and they continue to cost you because they are costing you your life. You're paying with them every single day. You're getting a day older and a day closer to dying. And you are allowing those habits that are not serving you to keep working for you. And you ain't doing anything about it. So you are basically a, what do we want to call you? We're going to call you just an unfit boss because you're allowing habits that you don't even like. You're allowing employees who are not doing their jobs to keep working and you keep paying them. So it's not their fault. All right. If I was working somewhere and not doing the job I was supposed to, but the boss kept paying me to not do the job, I would keep working. I'll just keep collecting the check. Why not? Now, you might consider that unethical, but hey, you're the boss. You're the one supposed to be making those decisions. So look at your habits right now. Which ones of them are basically stealing money from you because they're not doing the job, but you keep paying them? You need to identify which habits need to get a raise. In other words, which ones you need more of, and which habits need to be fired or put on probation or put on a re-education program. All right, this is the 80-20 principle. Once again, if you're reading in between the lines, this is your job because as CEO of your life, remember that your habits control 85% of what you do. 85% of your results are based on your habits. So this is not a matter to be taken lightly. All right, this is not a joke. Look at your life, look at your outcomes in every aspect and decide what habits get to stay and which habits need to go. You need to know this and you need to be looking at this right now. How do you start with this? Look at your life overall and ask yourself, where am I not satisfied? And then deconstruct and figure out what habits are causing that dissatisfaction and then figure out what changes need to be made. Now, if you join Work on Your Game University, I will help walk you through all of this in areas that matter most to you in life. But I'm giving you the framework of how this works. And however or whoever whether you do it yourself, you do it with someone else, let me tell you 2 ways to do this. You need to do it fast and you need to do it now. All right, as I said in point number 1. Let's recap today's class, which is how to get more life out of life. Life being the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continual change preceding death. Point number 1, change your default settings. Your default setting right now is to do things slow and to do things later. I'm telling you to change them to do things fast and to do them now. And now is whenever the idea occurs to you, immediately take action, not later. Don't write it down. Well, you can write it down, but write it down and do something now at the same time you're writing it down. Number 2, do an ROI assessment. What is producing the results? Remember, 80-20 principle. 80% of your results are coming from 20% of your inputs. You need to identify what that 20% input is and do much more of those 20% things and do much less of everything else. That is an ROI assessment. Number 3, job review of your habits. In my book, Work on Your Game, I analogize habits to your staff. Even if you don't have employees working for you, your habits are your employees and you're paying them not with money, but with your life, which is more valuable. Remember, time is more valuable than money. So you need to look at your habits, ask yourself which ones deserve a raise, i.e. I should do more of them, and which ones need to get fired, i.e. I need to get rid of them, and make your adjustments as necessary. This is not a matter to be taken lightly. Look at your life, look at your outcomes in every aspect, decide what habits get to stay and which ones need to go. Do this fast and do it now. All that said, text me and tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And Work on Your Game University. I just told you, I just gave you 20 minutes to sell you on why you need to be joining the university. If you're serious about taking your life where you are serious about it being, and you claim that you're serious about it being there, and you're ready to do it fast, and you want to do it now, then the worst thing you could do is try to do it by yourself. The best thing you can do is get with someone who has the tools and the frameworks and the insights to know how to help you get there. Work on Your Game University is the place to get that done. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all